Hi, Adam.
Hello, hello. How's everyone doing?
Doing very well. How about yourself? Where are you guys based?
I'm based in Los Angeles. How about yourself?
Athens, Greece.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
I'm out of Austin.
Right on. So we probably have quite a global audience. I see a few people also I know from Grape. I see Sarayush and Kirk and Jaris.
Hey, everybody.
Um, hey, Chris. So Chris is also on the Grape team. He's one of our top content creators as well, and co-founder of Grape.
Very cool.
Awesome. Great, great to be chatting with y'all.
It's funny. Like I know you guys as Whale's friend and Dean Machine. So like anytime I hear somebody's actual name, it's funny.
Yeah. It takes away some of the mystique for a second there.
Yeah. Very unorthodox for this space.
Yeah, we've been long doxxed, and both of us have been public for years. So, and are you guys keeping some sort of anonymity or?
Everybody
Yeah,
on our
we're pretty doxed over here.
yeah
Yeah.
everybody on our team is doxed. Besides myself, I'm like a half dox. Just because most of the stuff I've done in crypto, people just know me better as Pac rather than Joe.
Got it. It took me a while to realize it was Pac because it's yeah. Anyway, yes, Pac. Well, I'm glad we finally got to touch base, and we're doing it also on Spaces. We actually don't do many Spaces ourselves, so I'm glad you helped make this happen. We're very much Discord warriors. We only stick to Discord, so it's nice to venture out.
Definitely. And I love to just have an opportunity to meet up with you guys. Like, I don't think we've ever done a voice chat together.
That's true. And yeah, we're also now coming out with a bunch of grants, so I think it's a perfect time for us to talk. I think there's a few things we could do together because the platform looks phenomenal.
Thank you. We're super excited about it.
So I don't know how you want to go about this. Do you think we should kind of like devote 5 minutes each to kind of discuss what Message Party and Grape does?
Sure. Yeah, I think we can be pretty informal about it. Just a conversation that happens to be in public with people listening in, and the normal things we talk about, like everything that's going on in the NFT space. I know Grape has a lot of interest in the back end, but I mean, we could do round the room some backgrounds about how we got into crypto and where our professional lives have taken us, and then just dive into anything we want to chat about.
I love it. Would you mind kicking it off?
Sure. Yeah. I never shy away from an opportunity to talk. So, my name's Pac. Most of you guys know me as Pac. Other people know me as Joe. I've been involved in crypto for about 9 years now, as an investor to start, but then moved into actually building some of the different protocols and different DeFi yield aggregators that I'm sure many of you use. I've bounced around on different chains from Ethereum to Polygon to Avalanche, and kind of found my home here on Solana now. I do a lot of different things. I build communities. I do market penetration. I have some understanding of technical stand-ups, and just by nature of being involved in the space and surrounded by so many good minds, you get an opportunity to understand things better. And then I'm really, really interested in NFT technology and the broader applications of such. And that's really led into me co-founding Message Party with all the guys here. I'll kick it over to Adam next.
I'm always so happy to have Joe on these calls because he's just so full of energy and can talk till the cows come home. So it's always great to have him here. Hey everyone, my name is Adam. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Message Party. My background, I've always been really sort of fascinated by digital identity and digital media. So I actually sort of very much come from the Web2 world, particularly within like sort of the YouTube sort of TikTok sphere. I got my career started at a talent agency in Los Angeles. And when I was there, I sort of saw this revolution that was happening where everyone anywhere could create content and create a community online. And that was just like a huge paradigm shift to what was happening, everything but 15 years ago. And so I started getting more and more interested in people starting communities. I started to work with different YouTubers and also working with startups that were sort of essentially making tools for creators to be able to get their art out there and build communities. And when I started seeing everything that was happening in Web3, it just became so apparent that it's like, oh, this is everything we've wanted, but supercharged. The ability for people to build their own audience, to actually own their own art, and this whole new, the feature set is unbelievable. And so that was a big inspiration for Message Party, was this idea of like, oh, actually giving people the ability to have a whole new sense of identity and sort of build on that. And so that's a little background on myself, and I'll kick it over to Zach, who is our head of creative, head of Message Party Studios, to give a little background on himself.
Good morning. I am just having my coffee for the first time right now, and
I'm also just waking up. You're all good, Zach.
But super excited to be here. Hopefully by the time I finish this cup of coffee, I can add a little bit more. But I'm relatively new to the Message Party team. I've been on the team for about a week, and my background is in creative direction and art curation, and then creative pursuits in terms of content and advertising. About 3 or 4 years ago, I left the advertising world because I kind of couldn't stomach it anymore, like the traditional kind of Web2 advertising space. And at the time, it felt like there should be this kind of like this new territory, or this new arena where creative and art people could kind of exist outside of this. I don't know if there's other creative folk in the mix here, but there's this kind of like, am I making art or am I making commerce, right? And I think that at the time I got pretty excited. I've been a part of kind of the Ethereum community for quite some time now. I'm just absolutely excited about the Sol community and cross chain. But Message Party is absolutely brilliant, and I think the thing I'm the most excited about is seeing building platforms with these guys, and imagining how artists can essentially how can we enable artists and support them, and within the ideas of, like Joe said, within the ideas of basically adding experiential capabilities to NFTs. It's super exciting to imagine an NFT that sits in my wallet having a direct interaction within my space, within my interaction with someone. So I'm very honored to be here.
Over to you guys, Dean.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, guys, and it's awesome to hear about your robust experience already in crypto, for having touched some of the other chains as well. I have a similar background as far as the recent, I'd say, 5 years. So most recently, I was working with Ethereum Classic, helping out on developer relations, and whenever like 51% attacks happened, I was the guy that would communicate software updates to the different miners and exchanges and wallets. So a lot of fun in discovering kind of how communication and organization and decentralized organizations is evolving, right? Because we're really building it all right now. This is all completely new, so it's exciting and also a little scary sometimes. You're trying new things. So that's why we created Grape. We had seen other tokenized communities on Ethereum, and yeah, we wanted to bring it somewhere where we think from the basics of what a chain offers, is Solana giving a faster transactions at near zero cost for these non-financial applications of blockchain. Really made sense for us to experiment on Solana. So yeah, that's how I got in and how I got here. Chris, do you want to share your story?
Yeah, certainly. Hello, internet friends. Super glad to be here. I'm Wales' friend, or Chris, as you want to call me. Part of the core contributors of Grape. We started Grape with Dean and a bunch of more people after seeing those tokenized communities, and also wanting to bring some DAO culture to our community. It helped us tremendously build what we've built today. I mostly do community things. I also have a stream that follows me on my cryptocurrency adventures, and I have more of a traditional finance background. I've worked in investment banks around Europe, and at some point in 2015, early 2015. For sure, my thick accent gives it away. I'm from Greece, and we had capital controls, and we could not move any money from the country. I used to live in the Netherlands back then, and I naturally found Bitcoin, and it was the best way to actually move money when banks were closed. And here I am now.
Very cool. It seems pretty rare that I get an opportunity to chat with people that were around during that 2015 era, where even before or when, I guess, Ethereum went into pre-sale, and actually found their way into crypto from the original ideals, and to hear that you came into it purely for the piece of moving money around is super interesting.
Yeah, it was also an opportunity because I was doing a master's in finance back then. I wanted to put in use all the nice things that I was learning, all this portfolio management and Markovitch analysis and all these sharp ratios and correlation matrices, etc., etc. But if you wanted to open an account in an investment bank, you needed like 20,000-30,000 euros. In our case, which just made it impossible for a student. So it was another reason I got into crypto was just the opportunity to play around with a very small amount.
Yeah, and a very small amount at that time is a pretty large amount in these days.
Oh yeah, of course mistakes happened, and obviously if I could turn the time back, I would have done many different moves. But yeah, here we are. We are alive. We've survived, and most probably we're gonna make it.
Yeah, that's very similar. I fell into crypto back when I was in college studying finance for very similar reasons. So that's funny to hear. I wasn't doing a master's, but it was just an understanding of the issues within the broader macroeconomic picture that really led me to it. So
yeah, it doesn't really work though. If you really tried it, you'll see that everything is correlated. There is no risk-free asset. There is nothing really stands from classical finance. But you need to try it to really get a taste.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that does exist is the further you push out the risk curve, the more money you can make, right? And if we're dealing with some of the issues, I think that are pretty systemic with broader equities and risk-based assets, you might as well push as far out the risk curve as you can.
Yeah, I used to call it exposure to tail risk. That's the most polite way of putting shitcoining into a portfolio.
Okay, let's wind it back from something less technical into maybe a broader conversation. So I would be interested to hear. I know Grape is super plugged in with a lot of data on the back end of a lot of these communities, and I'd be interested to hear what trends you guys are seeing emerge for NFTs in 2022.
That's a great question, and I think it identifies an opportunity that we really haven't cultivated, which is really reading that data set. Um, we we have close to 700 communities using Grape, and like we know how to read our data very well. So we look at a lot of statistics related to the Grape token and how it exists in a Discord world, because anybody who verifies their wallet, they're verifying it purely because they're um, uh, getting access to some sort of Grape gated Discord channel. So we're really good at analyzing our own data. We have a lot of analytics. What we're going to be doing very soon is announcing a large portion of grants. And in those grants, we're going to have one for data analysis, because this data set's probably one of the largest in crypto regarding um, community interaction. Because today most of the communities, especially on Solana, reside on Discord. That's where a lot of the interactions happen with the team, with the rewards of airdrops or snapshots, stuff like that, votes. So um, I'd love to figure out with you and with the broader Solana audience how we can unlock findings from that data. We, as I said, like, we know very well that 37% of all circulating Grape is held by people that are in Discord. We're really happy with that statistic, because the people who are holding are really involved in crypto rather than just looking at a ticker. But on the NFT side, um, we're not specifically looking for those. We know a few, like, that they're anecdotal. I don't want to mention any, just because I want to be 100% sure about everything I say. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of another insight that we would be able to share. But it is an opportunity. This data, we used to pull up like community TVL, and it's interesting to think about it like that. Um, from a strategic standpoint, because we also have an NFT research group and a council, we we're part of a strategy to purchase and compete in photo finish, which is a NFT based game that has horse racing. So if there's any alpha I could leak on the NFT side, it's that. And then separately, we've barely discussed this publicly, but we have an NFT DEX that we're going to be releasing shortly. So, I'm excited to see what we can do with Message Party there. We're even coming out with a grant that I think could be great with Message Party. I don't want to go on a tangent, but I do want to mention it a bit in case it triggers any ideas. So with our NFT decks, what we would like to do is work with a messaging app where we could trigger a message to that user if they want to opt into the service, to know that they've received an offer on one of their NFTs.
Yeah, that triggers a few ideas, and I think I can let Adam dive into some of the things that we're thinking about on our end, such as a verticalized marketplace, because we're going to have so many different functional NFTs within Message Party, and nobody really offers that service yet. And some of the different ways that we're going to be providing notifications to our users.
Yeah, maybe this is a good time just to maybe just do a broad overview of like what Message Party is, because I'm aware that some of the folks in the audience may just be maybe hearing about it for the first time. So if you guys are cool, I might just do like just give the high level on Message Party and sort of where we're at, what we're offering, and then sort of dive into we can dive into all this a little bit more.
Go get them.
Yeah, it sounds
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Awesome. So, on a high level, Message Party is a new chat app. So, think about all the places that you have. When we say chat app, what we're really talking
Is
about
it
is a
me or is it
commercial
you?
chat app. So, think of. Sorry, can you hear me? Awesome. So think about all the places that you have one-on-one conversations with your friends, like the Telegrams of the world, iMessage, WhatsApp. Now imagine if that's completely rebuilt from the ground up for Web3. That's what Message Party is on a basic level. And so the sort of different components of that is, to start off, we're really starting with a native Web3 foundation. So what we mean by that is, like with Message Party, you don't sign in with your email or your number, you sign in with your wallet, because your wallet is really the central to your Web3 identity. And because of that, it opens up this whole new sort of world of functionality for users to be able to really communicate and express themselves in Web3. So some really basic examples is the ability to immediately put together a curated gallery of your favorite NFTs, right? And those are things that you can actually curate and actually have with your friends, in terms of like, hey, here are the NFTs I've held the longest, or here are my diamond hands, right? Here are the ones I OG minted. And all of a sudden now you have a whole new layer of identity to be able to actually share with your friends. And there's obviously privacy settings set up we can sort of get into to make sure you're sharing that with the people you want to. But again, it's these really simple things where it's like, well, you have these NFTs, they're already sort of the communities you belong to and everything. Those are already part of your identity. You should be able to share that. Other features include things like, having an activity feed. So with your friends, you can say, hey, who's purchasing what? Like, what are you buying? What are you selling? And now all of a sudden you have this whole new way to actually see with your friends, like, hey, like, no way, you just bought, for example, a soul dog. Like, that's amazing. Where can I get in on that? And so it's these types of features. So that's sort of the basis of Message Party. Where it starts to get really exciting, though, and I think what you sort of see in some of these of our pinned tweets, though, is this idea of, we really want to enable NFTs to be more than just JPEGs that sit on a profile picture. All of these communities have this incredible art, incredible identity tied to it, and people are really limited in what they can do with that. And so what we're doing at Message Party is think of all the ways that you actually express yourself digitally right now. So think of like emojis, stickers, animations, AR filters, skins, all those sort of primitives. We're taking those and we're putting them on the blockchain, making them NFTs, and we're actually enabling them to have functionality within Message Party. So what that means is we can go to communities and we can say, hey, we'll make expression packs for your community. So for example, let's use Jungle Cast as an example. We'll say, hey, we'll make a Jungle Cast expression pack where we'll have, Jungle Cat skins and Jungle Cat animations and Jungle Cat emoji packs, and all this can be created with the Jungle Cats, and it can be offered exclusively to their community. And because they're NFTs, there's still scarcity involved. There's still tradability involved. And so now all of a sudden, Jungle Cats not only have a whole new way to actually be able to express their community, right? The ability to actually say, like, whoa, like, like if you're a Jungle Cat, you can actually have an animation of a Jungle Cat that roars on the screen, but there's scarcity involved as well. So you can actually trade these assets. And so what this enables is these communities to actually be able to have a whole new way to be able to express themselves, and also opens up this whole new ecosystem for people to be able to buy accessible NFTs that are tradable on the secondary market. And so there's a lot there, and we can sort of dive into it all. But that's sort of the vision behind Message Party is really one of being able to let people communicate with their Web3 identity the way that they want to, and also sort of open up this whole new ecosystem of expression around this stuff. And so I'm really excited to be chatting with Grape right now, is just because I think a lot of what Grape has done for this ecosystem is enable people to do more with their NFTs when it comes to community functionality. And we want to take that to sort of the next step, and let people to do more when it comes to communication and expression.
Do you see Message Party being part of DAO tooling? Like, do you see it incorporating ways for organizations to operate, or do you think it's a platform that more mimics today's chat apps?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think we see it as really trying to create this space for friends. And so I think we're less like, well, there's a lot of tooling within Message Party that I think can be useful for DAOs. We're really focused on sort of the intimate relationships within Web3. So this idea of like, you meet people in the DAOs that you're on currently, and it's like, where do you go to have your more one-on-one sort of personal conversations, right? You meet someone on a Discord, say, you're like, you're not going to give them your personal number, maybe like a Telegram. Like, you don't necessarily want to go into Discord every time you want to have a personal chat with someone for the couple dozen people that you maybe talk to on a regular basis. And so we sort of see this as it's much more around that intimate chat. Now, that said, there's a lot of really interesting integrations that you can do, right? The type of thing like to be able to allow messages from verified communities, or to be able to sort even from your friends of like who's in what communities. Or even we've been playing around with the ideas of how can we make it easier for things that you just talked about. The idea of like, all right, if you want to sort of say have someone be able to reach out to you to purchase one of your NFTs based on your wallet, like you should be able to do that, or the ability to have communities be able to have a read-only announcement channel. Those are a lot of things we play with, but by and large, the idea is really there's a lot of tooling right now that are for communities, that are sort of for DAOs, and that's amazing. We want to sort of create that place much more of like, where do you go for your friends within Web3? That's really what we're focused on, and sort of supercharging it with functionality so people can sort of have a whole new experience when communicating with each other.
God, so in the Jungle Cats scenario, it's people became friends within that DAO, and then have their one-on-ones a message party.
Yeah, and this idea that like most people belong to multiple communities, and there's just sort of this question of how you take the community with you. So there's just like you may belong to Jungle Cats and also monkeys and also let's say Degenates and Soul God and D Gods, and you may be wondering like, well, like I want to be able to express myself in those communities in different ways and also talk to people from those communities in different ways. And so it's the type of thing where it's like maybe if you're just repping Jungle Cats all the way, your message party PFP that's verified is a Jungle Cat, and you have all the Jungle Cat skins and that type of stuff. But if you also want to rep monkeys in specific chats, right? We sort of see each chat with your friends as almost this whole new space and this whole new canvas. And that's what Zach is doing a lot of work on in terms of really bringing that to life in terms of how do you have really different feelings for each one of these chats, and how do you have it so you can really have it be a different tone. Exactly. It's like this idea of to be able to chat with your friends and to be able to bring the communities with you as you're sort of having these interactions. That's what Message Party is really focused on.
I would add something really fast to that, because I think it's a really I think it's a super interesting distinction that that I can feel that we could potentially be like discussing like two sides of this coin. One being like, is there this kind of like functional utility for instance, for something like a community built around a DAO, versus something that is like purely visual, right? Like leaning harder into the art side of the NFT and the experiential side of essentially like a programmable piece of art, right? And I really don't think that this is an either or, but it's kind of a both and. And I think what is so exciting is when we, at least as we've been discussing it starts to get a little bit heady and maybe a little too conceptual, but one thing that Adam is touching on that I think is absolutely brilliant and ends up, I think it ends up really setting the stage for this next year is the amount of community fatigue that we are all kind of experiencing right now. And, many of us, especially people that are like specifically focused on the NFT space, we talk about like the NFT community, but the truth is that we're actually members of like 15 communities or 20 communities, right? And I think that if that continues for another 5 minutes, let alone another 5 years, there's going to be a little bit of a problem there, right? We can't actually be an engaged member of 50, 100 different communities. So I think that what is really interesting about the way that Adam is defining identity is the PFP is maybe the one community that you're highlighting. Maybe that's your or you rotate through, or it's your favorite PFP, NFT, etc. That I think that in 6 months or in a year, that's going to be 1% of our identity when it comes to Web3. That doesn't take into consideration all the rest of our senses, all the rest of the dimensions of who we are as people, or how we are involved. And so this idea of not just like a transparent wallet, in a chat, but also like, where's the place that we can go that is not a container of one community, but where is there a place that is, allowing me to, essentially showcase and interact with all the communities that represent, my involvement.
Sounds really awesome, but I'm a little bit confused. Does the role of NFTs on Message Party uh, are they related only to art and the way the user is expressing himself and also showcasing his collection, or there is also, or maybe it's going to be in the future, support for more functionalities such as evolving NFTs that can display a user's achievements and goals, or whatever roles he has managed to get on a community. We've seen financial instruments represented by NFTs, and unique positions in markets represented by NFTs, and many other new kinds of technology in NFTs and new use cases. And we're still seeing this ongoing experiment, which we haven't found the right recipe of solving any of any of the issues that NFTs could potentially solve, from ownership to transparency to identity to all these things. Are you planning on allowing these kind of functionalities to be baked in a message party, maybe in the future?
It's a great question, and short answer is yes. And we can also we're brand new, and we're very transparent with our roadmap and where we're at, so we can sort of get into that. But you're spot on, Will. Like that idea of it's not just about necessarily the art, right? It's about sort of your Web3 identity. For some people, a lot of that is actually much more on the financial side and that type of thing. You have to be able to represent that. So our NFT sort of profile right now, the literally the alpha version, the V1, it's really focused on what NFTs you sort of hold. But you start to see it's like that's just sort of as Zach was saying, that's just sort of one dimension, right? This idea of actually like what, like one, be able to actually have, the POAPs that you've maybe collected, or also be able to have actually, we can read the metadata from a wallet. So we can actually start to show off like these interesting sort of sublineations of like, what were the NFTs that you sort of were like minted, right? What are the NFTs that you held the longest, that type of stuff. But then also we can start to get into, right? Like what are the DAOs that you actually belong to? We can start to actually build out what are the roles that you actually sort of hold within these places. And we're sort of starting with a just very basic gallery, but that gallery isn't just to show off your NFTs, is actually really to show off your identity. And part of that is everything that you're sort of discussing there is really this idea of like, cool, like what are the roles you hold? What are the communities you belong to? How do you interact with those communities? And our job is really building out user interfaces that give people choice, right? Give people share what you want to share, and also keep private what you want to keep private, both in what you share, amongst everyone with message party, amongst your friends in message party, but give people that canvas to be able to sort of show it off for themselves to be able to do that. And so that's sort of on that side of things. Additionally, as you think about the functionality, it gets really interesting. Again, we're sort of starting with these basic use cases, but as you start to think about aggregating people that are really active in these communities, there's a lot of really interesting things that start to happen. So for instance, and this isn't in our immediate future, but this idea of like, well, if you have a bunch of these people, you should just be able to trade NFTs, for instance, in app. Like that's a really interesting use case where just like, well, you're already with your friends, you're already with people that you sort of trust. Can we just build in a lot of this functionality, be able to do a lot of these functions that you already want to do elsewhere, just with already in the app? And that's just sort of an example. But to your point, we were sort of building this really rich foundation to be able to build out functionality. And so I think it's sort of the sky's the limit, and we have sort of a roadmap, but there's a ton of potential just to continue to add features for users to continue to make it easier for them to interact and transact and express how they want to.
But is there a version of the future where something like Grape exists in message party, where NFTs are used to gate or to give exclusivity, or they're not only just to showcase an identity to another person, but give you actual privileges and rights?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even just like from the beginning, the idea of like, I think let's take one example. Like, I think a big problem with Discord right now is DMs, right? Because you're in these communities, tens of thousands of people, and you have to decide like, well, do I leave DMs on and then you get a bunch of spam, or do I turn DMs off and then people sort of can't get in touch with you? We're building out solutions where it's like, well, so, and again, this is like hand in hand with what Grape sort of ethos is. It's like, well, what if I just want to enable it so the people from these communities that I choose, which I hold an NFT in, can reach out to me directly? And that way, it's actually making sure that if we're talking, then we actually have something in common, and that you're actually a verified holder of this NFT versus just anyone anywhere trying to shill a project to me. And so that's an example of like, cool, you can already start to see where that we're just, and that sort of goes back to our ethos of like build around the wallet, right? Build around wallets, actually, like be able to link multiple, but this idea of you should be able to have people be able to reach out to you if you want to, based off the communities you belong to, or if you want to be really, anonymous, you can just have people handshake wallets. And so we really sort of build out this spectrum of functionality, and a lot of that is based around, what communities you belong to. And so that's just like a simple example, but short answer is 100%.
It's a really good example, and it allows me to understand, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the audience as well. Very bullish roadmap. Love it.
I appreciate it, man. I mean, there's all sorts of fun things you can sort of build from there as well, right? Because you can almost see like into delineation of like maybe you want people, like you could set it up so it's like, well, just people that minted that were like OG minters, like they could almost have a specific sort of privacy thing. So like only people that actually minted this project could reach out to me. You can sort of build from there. And so I appreciate it. I think we're just early days, and if you hop into our Discord, we really build in public with our community, and so we take a ton of feedback from them. And so yeah, everything that you're saying, I love it, and it's definitely top of mind for us.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really cool things that we can do with Web3 communities like Grape. Like there's definitely some, gamification layers that are built in with the app itself. Like we can do things like you guys are standing up a DEX around NFTs. Like if you hold Grape and you go use that DEX, you get a special NFT airdropped. And whether that's a sticker, an emote, some kind of animation, a skin, that can be dictated on Grape's end. But like let's say you're the first 500 people to use the DEX. Okay, cool. Now we can identify that in the app. And that's gated only to you 500 people because you hold that sticker, right? And there's a lot of really cool things that we can do surrounding that. So DAO principles, new ideas of gamification within the app itself, and working with a lot of these big brands and communities to help extend what is actually possible if you're a grape holder or a tulip holder or any other technical project.
I wanted to ask because we use Fantasia, and I know you guys do too. Because I noticed you had a pretty big party. I wanted to ask, how you guys interact with Fantasia, and if that's going to be incorporated somehow.
Yeah, so we at Message Party are very, very heavy on community. So one of the things that we've discussed a lot is like when we utilize our partners, like how do we give back to them? And our partners have definitely already helped us to grow an image within the space, and a very founded one behind our brand. But we view the things like doing Fantasia contests and everything more like app integrations, at least at this point, to be done in Discord. So like everything community wise, we think Discord actually does a really good job. And I think you guys carry that same message as being the Discord warriors you are. So when it comes to those bigger, I think we had 550 people in this week for the Fantasia. Trying to stick all those people in one chat is going to be kind of difficult, just because a single stream main chat is not really well versed to handle 550 people, right? Like we're really worried about that one to few chat. But we will be doing really fun things like working with Fantasia. And let's say you compete an entire season with Fantasia. Maybe you win a certain amount of games. Like we could do something really cool where if you're in a league with 1,000 people and you win it, you get a really cool airdrop or something like that.
I think what Joe, I think just like going on top of that, I think what we're really talking about is we want to give communities the ability to actually incentivize their audience, but also actually reward their audience and represent that to the world. And so I think like before maybe you do something like a POAP or sort of a one-on-one, but I think especially with what we sort of see as the vision for expression packs is this idea of it's really based around like, yeah, communities can actually dictate like, well, how do we want to provide incentives for our audience? And yeah, for Fantasia, it's like, hey, everyone that actually did a whole season, or actually the winners, like they get a certain expression pack that enables them to open up new ways of expression. And it's not just expression, it's really actually showing off to the world, right? Like if you're the top player in Fantasia, you should actually be able to like, it's like, hey, you get a skin that's only for that, and you can show that off to the world and people can see that. And it's not just seeing a little badge, right? It's this whole new functionality that you get that Fantasia made specifically for you for expression pack with Message Party. And you can do whatever you want with that. You can show it off to the world, you can sell it, you can trade it. But with all of our communities that we're working with, it's really this idea of like, how do you let your community members actually show off this community more and actually show off their sort of like how they interact with this community more? And that's, I think, a lot of like we sort of take that ethos to all the communities we work with. And what's fun is a lot of these communities have completely different sort of goals, right? Fantasia, much more built around obviously fantasy sports. And then if you go to something, say like a pure sort of like art community, like a Jungle Cats, they could have really different goals. And we're sort of want to create this place where it's like, cool, we just want to add value to your communities. And this is sort of the canvas to do it.
Yeah, that's I think that's really synergistic with us. Our approach is to be the best users of tools, and in that, we either discover what needs to be made that doesn't exist and we make it ourselves, and we try to give the best feedback and have the largest kind of coherent crypto community in Solana. Like, for example, right now we're working with MeanFi. We've set up streaming payments. So, within our community of, we're about 2,500 Grape holding members. We have different membership classes to get different rights and access to different bonuses. You have to have different amounts of Grape in our Discord. So right now, from those 2,500 people that are holding Grape and getting those benefits, there's 83 people that are part of our workforce. So they receive Grape through streaming payments. And this is the only DAO that does this on Solana, and we issued it all on chain. So what we're trying to do is be the best user of tools. So we have, right now we're neck and neck with Mango to be the largest DAO on Realms. We're the largest user of MeanFi. I could see a future where we're also the largest user of Message Party. So from a very top level, we'll obviously be want to be involved, and then based on kind of how much feedback and work in the kind of organization tooling space you want. We can think of a larger kind of partnership or development. It's really, that's where we're leading in, is how these organizations exist. So that's, on one side, it's creating primitives, frameworks, recommendations of whether the policies, procedures, rules for government and coexisting and membership, and then separately, which tools do you use to accomplish those different goals. So yeah, I think it would be really cool to explore Message Party, and if you guys have that vision to include the organizational components, I think that's where it becomes really interesting. Where you guys mentioned earlier, like a progression or a gamification. If there are feature sets that make that communication multidimensional, where instead of it just being, hey, we're talking, and we can label this conversation connected to this task that has this payout or emission tied to it for whatever sub DAO. Like, if you can have those order of operations and then connect it to a treasury that's based on realms, and then that triggers a payment, a streamed payment, like all of this kind of future thinking around decentralized communities. If there's a path towards that, if you guys are interested in building that, we should, definitely have subsequent conversations about, building towards that future.
Yeah. Adam, oh, sorry. I thought Adam was going to chime in there. Yeah, no, definitely. Like the idea of building a lot of the tooling around those things, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent here just because I think it's an interesting concept. But there's like some really cool things that we can build in here. So like, let's say you've like one of the things Grape set forward is I want to know everybody that has staked Grape for 1,000 days, right? And everybody that gets that Grape stake then has a certain NFT that acts as like an NFC, so near field communication, to get into this event that we're having in Breakpoint, Lisbon, 3 years from now, right? And there's some really like really in depth uh, communication and gamification layers that we like are so far off on exploring, and I don't want to get super deep into them, but I just the possibilities are endless when we really think about organization of DAOs.
Yeah, I sort of like on top of that, I can agree more. I think like a lot of what message parties are even contemplating is possible because folks like Grape have already sort of set the stage for us, right? We're sort of building on your guys' shoulders in terms of like this. I think in terms of Grape, just even giving communities this initial functionality has made such a huge impact on the ecosystem, and so we're simply just want to continue that work and that type of thing that you're talking about, where it's like specific functionality that goes really in depth. Absolutely, like that could be a ton of fun when you start to think about user permissions and how to do that, implement that, because it just gives people that much more sort of ability to actually have control over their identity and their communications. When part of what I really admire about Grape is sort of this concept of actually being in the discords and being the heaviest users and just like really being part of the community. It's just something that we really try to emulate. A big part of that is actually sort of like the community. We went public, just even with Message Party, what we're building earlier this month, and we got started November 15th. So we're a really young team. We try to build transparently. We have our roadmap on our website. We try to we're all docs so that people can sort of see our backgrounds and that type of stuff. But a big part is also building our own community. A really large part of that is this mint that we have sort of coming up on February 3rd, and everything that sort of goes with that. And maybe Joe, just as sort of hand it over to you to sort of talk a little bit more just about what we're doing there. And the reason being is like we want to sort of be of the Web3 community. And so Joe, you can sort of give the high level on sort of the community we're building and that you've just been doing. And I hand it over to Joe because you'll see him in our Discord all the time. He's the best head of community I've ever seen. And so hand it off to you to sort of give a little bit more background on the mint and everything we're doing with our community.
You're gonna make me blush sitting up here. I'm, I guess, the man of many hats over here on this side, but head of community is one of my favorites to wear. And it is my role, Adam, before you jump in and tell me. But yeah, no, we're doing a ton of things on our side, community facing. And I really think it's actually boiled into our ethos to build with our community. So we have two separate arms of surveys that we've been running in the community. The first one is the product surveys, and we've done two product surveys to really take and get an understanding of what our community actually wants. So we've gained some really interesting insights on a few different things that we're going to keep close to vest right now, just because it is an advantage to have 500 people respond in an hour's time to tell you exactly what it is they want in their chat app, and seeing some VCs posting about wanting to find certain chat apps. We'll hold on to our data and use it to actually build our things. So product side has been really cool. And yesterday we released the first Message Party Studios survey, and Zach is actually going to be the one taking that data down and starting to build some of the really cool features and extensibility for other NFTs. So some of those animation packs and things that hopefully will go out to grape holders in the near future, and starting to build those out so that they're actually things that we can give to people, and getting together with communities to start brainstorming how we want those things to look and what different gamification levers we want to pull within communities to really represent them. Within our community ourselves, we're going to be doing a lot of spaces and talking about the roadmap in a very public way. So we have this ethos built in from the team as well, facing community, which is like everything's done in public. And I think it's very Web3. So you guys are going to know exactly what's going on under the hood at all times. You're going to have input to know what it is that we're building and when things are coming to market. And, all of it's going to be just very open and fluid communication on our side into our community.
I'm definitely a fan of the process you guys have. Being as transparent and inclusive is the way to go. It's definitely the way we've been since May, and I generally think that's the way you scale faster too. You gotta trust, in that the people who are spending time to be in your community and to give you that feedback, that they're very in line with your expectations and what your vision is. I found that a lot of what we've done at Grape has been influenced by our community. And really the most important thing is, as builders, we need to constantly focus on decentralizing our processes and decentralizing how the decision making goes. I think that's definitely one of our mandates. So we would be more than happy to help show you guys also how you could do similar things with your community, and then for us to bring message party to the Grape community. Um, I want to be cognizant of time. We have a public talk on our Discord in 8 minutes every week, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. UTC. We give kind of like a public update of what's going on at Grape. Uh, Before we get off, though, I do want to ask about the Launchpad on Magic Eden. Um, how's that mint happening? Are you gonna have some sort of whitelisted, or what's your approach towards minting?
Yeah, so we're going to firstly whitelist the whole mint. And with that being said, we are going to be doing a giveaway with Grape if here in the next couple days, and then obviously opening up a whitelist to you guys, just having been so supportive of us since the beginning. But we're going to be whitelisting the whole mint and doing a wallet cap on possible mints just for bot protection. I think everybody's been pretty tuned in to the issues surrounding bots with not only Magic Eden, but just all launch pads and launches recently. So we're taking as many preventative measures as we can to make sure that, somebody doesn't end up with 300 to 400 of our mints, because it's duly important for us to have individual holders, because those are going to be our closed beta users.
Makes
And
a lot of sense.
Adam, if you want to chime in.
No, I was just gonna say, I think you nailed it there. It's like with our entire mint, the whole idea is that the people that hold that mint actually, that's how we verify who gets actually access to our beta in March. So those are sort of our initial users. So I definitely take a lot of inspiration from everything that Grape is doing on the community side as well. So I was gonna say, I love that you guys are doing your weekly chat in 5 minutes here. So I won't let you guys go, but I'm definitely gonna be taking you up on that offer to sort of learn the ins and outs of how we can just sort of best build publicly with our community there.
Yeah, my pleasure. And seriously, we definitely want to be experimenting and bring our community there. So on the giveaway, thank you for extending that invitation. We want to be involved for sure. And we're always thinking about also how you go about that selection process, right? So traditionally, it's a bit of a tangent, but this is kind of how our thinking is. Traditionally, you and we would be speaking for the first time and wouldn't be public, right? And then you would say, okay, hey, we have some whitelist spots for your community for whatever reason. Like, we do some co-marketing. We've been supportive. At that point, though, we become kind of like the gatekeepers for how that gets diffused to the community. So we're working now with, our elected DAO, that we're trying to figure out how do you, in a fair and decentralized process, figure out that allocation of those kind of like, opportunities that community gets. It's a really interesting problem to solve. So yeah, well, as we're solving these, we'll definitely share them with you, and hopefully discover new solutions together. Really want to thank you guys for this space. And we got to do the Twitter spaces more often. You guys got to look at this. So many supporters for Message Party. I love seeing it.
Yeah, I think they're coming from Grape too, man. I think you'd be surprised how many people tune in to hear you guys talk. It's been great. I'm always open to doing this again. Love chatting with like-minded people.
Thank you guys so much for having us. It's awesome to be able to get the Grape and Message Party community together here. I'm really excited for future conversations, and to your point, future conversations in public with our community. So thanks so much, guys.
Likewise, thank you for making it happen. And we'll definitely we'll definitely reach out within the next 24 hours to make some more magic.
Yeah, and
I love it.
let's do this again.
Take care, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.